It's Waxing Lyrical, baby.
Hello, Waxers, and welcome to Waxing Lyrical, Mainz and Dutch. I'm your host, Mainz, and my colleague, blinded in one eye, is Mr. Neil Dutton. How are we, Neil?
I'm very well, sir. You're back from the far corners of the empire.
I am, just so you're aware, don't want to rain on your parade, but it's not pink anymore. It's not the empire. There's no Maharajas. There's just a lot of very intelligent people who work in IT.
Right. And have you said sorry to Mr. Hartman yet?
It's in the post, I believe, the flowers, so yeah. I would recommend, by the way, for all the lovers of Indian food across the country and across the globe, unless you've been to India, you've never had Indian food. It's a myth that you think you've had it, you haven't. I had tandoori chicken, you haven't had it.
So you're saying, in a controversial opinion, that the best place to go for the food of a nation is the nation it came from?
It is, but you laugh in the irony of that, Neil, when the national food of the UK now is a chicken korma. So I don't think we should be throwing stones here. Well,
actually, in that interesting, on that chicken tikka masala, that famous Indian dish.
Yeah,
is actually it was made, it was created in Britain, and basically it's supposed to be gravy.
Yeah, well, masala is gravy. That's it.
Yeah,
that's it. It's speaking to Indian people about food in England is hilarious, as I think they just think we eat chicken tikka masala and fish and chips. They're the only two things.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's not. But our food is nowhere near as good as theirs, and I would highly recommend going to India. Although I would suggest that unless you got a death wish, you never drive, as it is the craziest passenger experience I've ever seen, and I've been in a car with you multiple times.
Brian Johnson did once say he'd been to India 4 or 5 times and still didn't know what side of the road they drove on.
There was 6 wide on a 3 wide lane.
That's actually the title of my upcoming album.
Yeah. Although Neil, I missed last week, but you're braving through the pain barrier here, walking wounded. Can you let the listeners know what's up with you?
I have a slight eye infection. It's causing a slight photosensitivity. So as a result, I can't have my face jammed up in front of my laptop. That's why we're on audio only.
So we are audio only, so I can't see Neil's pretty face, or based on the fact that he would probably have an eye patch on. I can't see Captain Flashheart on the other side of the screen.
You also can't see that I could be naked while recording this.
Well, I usually see that, so I'm glad this week that I have a break from the nightmares.
Mm-hmm. I'm not really naked. I have my socks on.
Fantastic. That is an image that will haunt me for the rest of my days. Dutton, quiet week really. We're about to ramp up. We have no interviews. I assume that's because you'll make some excuse like you've been busy or something. So we got a couple of absolute classic Weird World stories that are braced up on the internet this week. And then we've got a few NFL news stories that we just wanted to talk about. Because otherwise we thought 2 weeks without us, you absolutely wouldn't listen to those 3 people who usually do.
And then never come back. And then
they would never come back. They'd be listening
it's just
to
me and the talking into the wind.
It would. They'd be listening to I don't know, some other podcast about mum and dad's writing a porno or West Wing Weekly or something.
Mm.
So let's get the show started, done with a classic Weird World, which is so many women and car jokes. It's unbelievable, but we'll just get with the headline and go from there. Woman gets head stuck in exhaust pipe. This is the byline of said article, Neil. Hey, my head could probably fit in that, she remembers thinking. A Minnesota woman had a memorable time at a music festival this past weekend, but no one would blame her if she'd rather forget it. That's a normal feeling when you get your head stuck in a truck's exhaust pipe for 45 minutes. Caitlin Strom I think it'd be cool if it was Storm, but it's not. Was at Winstock Country Music Festival. Don't need to get into the context of country music in this. I'm sure that's completely irrelevant. In the town of Winstead on Friday, when she decides to go where a few people had gone before. We were just all having fun, and I saw this big exhaust pipe, and I was like, "Hey, my head could probably fit in that." So I tried. It did fit, but it didn't want to come back out.
No, I'm out. I can't comprehend this. To me, it just seems as something normal that you shouldn't be sticking your head into things that are smaller than your head. That's just one of the many unwritten rules I live my life by. But to be fair to me, I've never lived in Minnesota, so I don't know what dangerous rules they play by.
So I think there's a few things for me. Like, as someone who drives in the UK, has just been to India, the thought of an exhaust pipe, even big enough to contemplate putting your head in, is quite mind blowing. To do it is another. In no mention of that story does it sound like she's intoxicated. And she may have been drunk, but I mean, I'm talking a level of intoxication where you fall asleep and all your mates draw like penises on your head and stuff like that, and you don't remember it. She doesn't seem that bad. My favourite is after it went viral. Storm didn't expect to go viral, but she's not surprised. This is her line. A lot of people don't realise how serious this was. So it's kind of expected when it's blasted on the internet that you're going to get negative comments. Some people can be really cruel. That's correct. She is absolutely right on that. Unfortunately, she attempted to stick her head in an exhaust pipe, so I'm not 100% sure she's in a position to comment.
Yeah, some people can be really cruel, whereas some people can be ridiculously stupid. Storm.
Yeah, it's definitely Storm, not Strom in it. Let's be honest on that. I've got so many questions on that, but I'm going to move on to it because I've got a Florida story, and once you got one of them, it's absolutely amazing.
All things drop for Florida stories.
Exactly, and I actually tweeted this video out earlier, but the headline is "Alligator knocks Florida wildlife trapper unconscious in a video." A Florida fish and wildlife trapper was knocked unconscious when he was headbutted by a rogue alligator. The trapper, who has not been identified, was called to an Oski neighborhood on May 25th after residents reported seeing an 8-foot alligator wandering around. It's if you've ever been to Florida, I just love that. That's not even a story. Dude, there's an 8-foot alligator outside. Okay, I'll just call someone to go and get it.
Yeah, I'll call Jerry.
It was pretty crazy. Jack Redding, who witnessed the incident, told Orlando's Wolf News. Also, great name for a TV channel. Redding, who said he didn't know what to do, recorded the episode on his cell phone. He didn't know what to do, but he knew it was a good time to get his phone out and video it. Ladies and gentlemen, the 21st century. The video shows the trapper and 2 police officers carrying the gators, whose feet and mouth appear to be secured to the back of a pickup truck. When they heave it onto the truck, the gator begins to thrash about. The gator flipped back and headbutted the guy, knocked him onto the ground, local resident Walter Day said. At that point, it was kind of free, and it whacked police officers with its tail.
Again, people will claim that the alligator went wild, when we all know the alligator just went alligator.
Yeah, it's, if you're minding your own business, and let's be honest, the alligators have been in Florida longer than the people have, and you're just bouncing through your local area, and 3 dudes wrap you up, you're going to be slightly pissed. So if they aren't able to secure you heavily enough, there's no surprise you headbutt one of them and then try and karate kick them with your tail, the other dudes.
Yeah, it is that, when I caught Gerald, he was wild. I was livid. That'll be, let's see, alligator was just surveying his territory. And let's be honest, if he wants it, it's his territory. And then some, idiots try and essentially kidnap him. I think we'd all be a bit miffed.
My favourite thing about alligators is, I remember being on a golf course once and seeing an alligator and getting in my golf buggy and speeding off, safe in the knowledge that I was in a golf buggy. I relayed the story later on at a bar, and then a Florida man informed me that my golf buggy did 15 mile an hour, and alligators can get up to 20 mile an hour. And as he quite eloquently put it, if it wanted to eat your son, it would have.
But that's that thing, you put on, running shoes when you see an alligator, and the man next to you says, "You'll never outrun that." And you say, "I don't have to. I just have to outrun you."
Correct, Neil. Correct. As always, we love a weird world story, especially in the off season, because it takes up 10 to 11 minutes of the show, which is really good. If you've got any stories, please tweet them at us. I'm at Mainz7, Neil is at N13, and combined we are at waxing_lyrical. I've already tweeted out the alligator one, and I will tweet out the woman trapped in an exhaust pipe. But if you follow a friend of the show, Patrick Claiborne, he's already done it.
And with the question, did anybody ask?
Exactly, Neil. So, Neil, as we mentioned, no interview this week, and we're not really at the point of top 10s, fantasy style, and divisional previews. So we thought we'd look at some of the big news going on in the NFL this week and give our thoughts. And Neil, first news, he is risen, as I tweeted out earlier this week. Andrew Luck throws. And before we talk about it, I think Andrew Luck himself said it best, and by Andrew Luck, I mean Captain Andrew Luck. Dearest mother, I write with exuberance. Today, for the first time after many sunrises, I fired my sidearm in the view of onlookers. It was a sight, I admit. Some were startled. The unit has a grueling campaign that inches closer daily. I shall be ready. I love you, Andrew.
I love that Twitter account. In other quarterback news, however, though, just to overshadow the return of Andrew Luck, a former New York Jets and Oakland Raiders quarterback is visiting with the New England Patriots today.
Who's that, Neil?
Christian Hackenberg.
Is meeting with who?
The New England Patriots.
Is this trolling in its purest form, or?
Well, as another friend of the show, Rumford Johnny, pointed out, poor kid's probably lost.
He's asking for directions to Canada.
Going back to the Andrew Luck story, yes, congratulations, he has thrown them all. But let's wait to see what he actually does in a slightly more live drill, shall we? As I've seen some of the passes he was throwing, they were they weren't quite wow throws, they were more
But aren't we just glad that we've got to this position? Because it felt like we'd never get back here. That, he was like a unicorn. He was a myth. He was a concept. He was like communism in Karl Marx's book. A good idea in theory, but I've never seen it actually in practice. It was something that we never believed was going to happen. And okay, he didn't throw a 50-yard bomb down the sideline, but he threw a ball. It's got to be a start.
Oh, it's a start. I mean, his job does entail throwing a football, so you'd hope he'd have some, warming up doing it before he actually has to do it for real. It's just, let's cool our jets, because there's a good chance, let's be honest, that this time next week he'll be complaining of soreness and they'll have to scale him back.
Your former offensive coordinator, Frank Reich, is now in charge of the Indianapolis Colts. How much, if you wanted to take that job, how much assurance would you need that Andrew Luck was going to be able to play this year?
The head of his firstborn.
Yeah, I'd be like, I can get out of my contract. I'll be able to blame you, and you still have to pay me all my money. Yes,
because as we said, they were so confident that Luck was going to be fit and healthy that they didn't address quarterback at all in the draft, and they traded out of the number 3 spot where quarterbacks would have been available. Ergo, their front office was telegraphing that they are confident that Andrew Luck is fit and healthy, and he's so fit and healthy he'll be ready for week 1 of the 2017 season. They've said it countless times. It must be true.
Obviously, Neil. Obviously. If we move on to a position a little further forward, only just from Andrew Luck, and that is offensive line. And Zach Martin done got paid, Neil. He agreed a 6-year extension worth $84 million, which we know is a fake number, but it's with $40 million guaranteed, not fake. he received a 20 million signing bonus and then is now under contract in Dallas for 7 seasons. The contract averages about 14 million a year, and that makes Martin the second highest paid offensive lineman behind New York Jets tackle Nate Solder. I think we'll get onto that second part of the conversation momentarily, but obviously a good deal for the Cowboys as they have no real weapons now apart from Ezekiel Elliott, so I assume there will be a lot of running behind that offensive line.
The Cowboys have arguably the best centre in the NFL, the best left guard, and when he's healthy, the best left tackle. I know what side I'm blitzing them from, however.
Yeah, I think there is a absolute good side and bad side on the Cowboys. On the second bit, like as you quite rightly point out, when fit, they have an absolutely fantastic left tackle in Tyron Smith. And there's a number of other tackles who are really good in the NFC East alone, none of which are Nate Solder. So the thought that Nate Solder was the highest paid defensive lineman in the NFL, never mind the NFC East, is absolutely mind-blowing. The thought that I'm just going to use my own team here, the thought of Nate Solder getting any money, even in the same stratosphere of Trent Williams, is absolutely laughable.
It's also as well, it's a good deal for Dallas because, as you say, it keeps him under team control for, was it 6 or 7 years?
7 years, I think.
It's 7 years. It's a terrible deal for Zach Martin because this is the problem that Tyron Smith actually had, is that he signed a 10-year deal. Congratulations, dickhead. Your money's going to be so far down the market in 5 years that this is just a holdout waiting to happen. I mean, yes, it sounds great, with the guaranteed money, but we know as well as guarantees aren't guarantees. Aside from the 20 million signing bonus and probably this season and a bit of next season, the Cowboys can get out of this anytime they want should his play fall off. But other than that, he'll be on quite reasonable terms for them, considering where the guard and offensive line market will go. And he's locked himself in, where basically, in a few years, his only option will be to hold out. And I think Kirk Cousins, obviously, with the guaranteed money, has changed the mindset that players should have. But if you can't get guaranteed money for big, the huge sums, just get shorter contracts so you can come back to the table while you're still in your prime.
I think the issue always becomes, in the NFL especially, is fear, right? The players have a fear that if they don't get the money today, someone else will steal it tomorrow. So they'll sign the contract. And we'll get onto it a bit later on in the would you go to mini camps if you win happy section of the show. But, they're willing to pay Zach Martin today. Zach Martin would quite like 40 million guaranteed, or let's be honest, a 20 million signing bonus. That sounds nice. Absolutely. The issue is, in 3 years, he'll be really underpaid. So if he continues on his trajectory, that is, and then he'll look for more money. And unfortunately for him, he plays for the Cowboys, so there's only a one in every 10-year chance that you get that money because Jerry's usually spunked it on everybody else by the time it's your turn again. So it's a difficult situation for all the players in terms of how long is he supposed to wait? Does he want to wait until he's a free agent and then get the money, or does he actually want to be a Dallas Cowboy? He may like Texas. He may like Jerry Jones. He may like going 8-8 every year. I don't know, Neil. These are questions I can't answer.
I just think that the day of 5-year, 6-year, 7-year contracts, I just think they are not in the players' best interests. I think teams love them, but I think agents are going to start saying no, 3, and if you guarantee 2 years and a little bit of that 3rd year, and then we can talk again, because the salary cap is not going down anytime soon.
I think that needs a change of mindset from the bigger established agents, because they like getting their players long-term deals, right? So actually trying to convince your player to take a shorter-term deal is quite a different concept. So at the moment, it kind of suits the agent to give them a long-term deal because they get money every year based on that deal, I believe. and the owners love it because, as you said, in a few years they can either cut them or they're saving money. So it needs an NFL player association push rather than an agent push, in my opinion, because the agents actually prefer them to be on longer term deals because they are guaranteed money then. Because if they sign a 3-year deal, there's a possibility that the player doesn't get another deal to that value.
That's what you mean, yeah.
It's like the only person who a long term deal should benefit is the player, but actually it's the one person who it doesn't benefit.
Yeah, because as we say, once the actual guaranteed money is gone, he's at the whim of the front office.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting concept, right? And like there could be a lot of people who go, "Oh, look what Kirk Cousins has done over the last 2 seasons," and then going forward, what a deal that is. But no, but that you need to understand it. It was a massive risk for Kirk Cousins because he was one bad tackle away from losing all that, and it depends how risk averse you are as a human to go down that line. There's betting on yourself, which Kirk Cousins did, but he could have quite easily wrecked his knee, and instead of earning £22 million, he's earning £2.
Yeah. I mean, it's as I say, it's a security thing, and most of the contracts are obviously guaranteed, for injury, especially if it's that bad an injury it causes you to miss a season. But I just think that we are coming to a change from the agent side. I think change has to happen for the good of the players, because I think eventually the players may get wise to it.
I think it needs to. I'm just not as convinced it's as quick as everybody would like it to be. That's all. If we drift away from players and contacts for a moment, we will come back to them. Big news for a former Dallas Cowboy and actually a former Philadelphia Eagle as well, Neil. Everybody's favourite guy who does sit-ups in his driveway, Mr. Terrell Owens, is going into the Hall of Fame, and that's fully deserved. However, Terrell isn't attending the Hall of Fame ceremony. So from Mike Florio on Pro Football Talk, take it with a pinch of salt, if you will. For the Hall of Famer, induction weekend can be an expensive proposition with travel and lodging for multiple family members and friends, and the cost of a party commemorating. Team or sponsors often contribute to cover those expenses, but it's possible Owens doesn't have many teams or sponsors willing to contribute to this. I'm not 100% sure that's the reason, but it's an interesting thought process that one of the reasons that it took Terrell Owens a couple of years to get in the league is because no one likes him. Whether we like it or not, I think that's almost fact. The writers didn't like him, and almost by definition the teams don't. So why then would someone like Terrell, who knows that no one likes him, then turn up to their hand-wringing ceremony to smile politely and nod and shake a few hands?
I mean, I personally am of the opinion that Terrell Owens is one of the 2 best wide receivers I've seen in my time of watching the NFL. Called me controversial, I know, but him and Randy Moss, for me, they are not a 1,000 miles away from each other. You prefer Randy Moss, I prefer Terrell Owens personally. But, however, if you're going as a collection of voters who are supposedly to have excellent opinions of the game, and your brief is to put people in the Hall of Fame based on their on-field production, and you put a kicker in the Hall of Fame before Terrell Owens, I don't think he really thinks your respect is something he desperately needs. And go on.
His job, no, I think I'm 100% with you on this, Neil, right? Like, just because everybody's turned up before doesn't mean you have to turn up. Like, he turned up on Sundays, and for a team that got to the Super Bowl in the Philadelphia Eagles, turned up after breaking his leg about a week and a half beforehand and caught 8 passes, if I remember correctly. He was a absolute pain in the backside. That is undeniable. But he was one of the most talented wide receivers in NFL history, probably top 5 ever. So the thought that he doesn't get in is outrageous, and the people who didn't vote him in because they quote unquote didn't like him absolutely need their heads checking. But anyway, like, he doesn't need to turn up for him to be a Hall of Famer. That's just like stuff that he's not interested in. Fair enough. He gets his gold jacket, he gets his bust, and people can go to Canton and say that's Terrell Owens. Hopefully they'll show that video of when he like stands on the star.
And basically, the Hall of Fame, as great as it would be, you're surrounded by surviving members of some of the greatest teams, the greatest players, in NFL history. It's probably a great chance to go and, as you say, have your hand wrung that you're being welcomed to an exclusive club. You also then, however, have to mingle with people who spent the last 20 years bad-mouthing you for your attitude on and off the pitch, and who have argued about whether you should be in this illustrious company. And the fact that there are people who, since Terrell Owens came out and said, I'm not going, have come out and said, if I'd known he wouldn't have attended, I wouldn't have voted for him. You're the problem. You are the problem with this system. You are the problem with voting for people to get into the Hall of Fame. Not him, not Randy Moss, not any other, locker room cancers. You're the problem. And that is why he doesn't want to go. And why he doesn't need to go.
We do this all the time. Like, Hall of Fame should be a dead... Maybe it's just me. It should be a dead simple debate. I watch this player. Is he a Hall of Famer? Yes or no? It's much easier, I think, for wide receiver or running back and quarterback than, say, I don't know, offensive and defensive lineman. For someone of my ilk, I'm not, au fait on that type of thing. But I can just look at players. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Very Good. He was a very good player for that team and should be in their Ring of Honor, but that doesn't mean he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily need to understand, like, whether he was, like, a nice person or friends with all the people, because if that was an issue, he wouldn't have caught loads of balls and his teams wouldn't have won. And I think his teams did win when he played.
Yeah, and ultimately, it comes down, it's the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It's not the nice guys Hall of Fame. Most of the greatest sportsmen of all time, I hate to be the bearer of bad news here, but most of the greatest sportsmen of all time in any field, I probably wouldn't want to be in their company for longer than 5 minutes. Don Bradman is the greatest batsman of all time, but by all accounts, what an arsehole. He just literally was very, very self-centred. One of my heroes, of course, Sir Geoffrey Boycott. Yeah, he liked himself a little bit. You're going to tell me he's not one of the greatest, one of the English batsmen of his type? No, of course you're not.
There's a reason that Cristiano Ronaldo has won like 3 European Cups on the run and multiple Ballon d'Ors. Like, because he works dead hard, and because he has a tremendous love for himself and his own ability. And it's worked for him. I don't like him. But you know what? You've got to respect him because he's one of the best players ever.
And I mean, what do the writers think? Say Terrell Owens did come and he spoke in his what would obviously be a far too long induction speech. He's not going to say nice things about them. So they'll slag him off for that. They'll slag him off for anyone he forgets to thank. They'll slag him off for anyone he fails to apologise to. He cannot win by attending, so he'd rather do it in his own way and not bother. I personally want to see him doing sit-ups in the driveway during the event.
That'd be cool. I think he should do that. Will Drew Rosenhaus also be there?
Probably. No comment. Next question.
The irony of that is I would love to go back in time after we just spent 15 minutes defending Terrell Owens to the text conversation we would have had while Terrell Owens was doing sit-ups in his driveway.
Arsehole.
Final thing, Neil, and it's on money, which we talked about briefly with Zach Martin. There's 3 players who I'm interested who have held out of mini camps because they're not very happy about their contracts. Now, they're not very happy about their contracts in a different way to the Zach Martin concept that we were talking about before. It's because they are on their 5th year options, I think, or their 4th year or their 5th year options. So they want an actual deal. They want their first big money contract. So first one is Aaron Donald, Neil. Just to give you some numbers, Aaron Donald will earn $6.8 million base salary this year, which is not Not a small sum of money. We're not suggesting that at all. To put into context, however, his defensive line teammate Ndamukong Suh will earn 14.5. If we look in, Aaron Donald is allegedly a defensive tackle. I say allegedly because he also plays like a defensive end. If we talk purely on defensive linemen, there are 24 better paid defensive linemen. In terms of defensive tackles, there are 10. They are Ndamukong Suh, Malik Jackson, K'Wan Short, Gerald McCoy, Fletcher Cox, Jarrell Casey, Marcel Darius, Geno Atkins, and Damon Snacks Harrison. If you are Aaron Donald, do you hold out until they give you a better deal?
Yeah, because even with my inherent bias, Aaron Donald is better than every single one of those players. Every single one of them. That includes Fletch, who you know I love, but Donald is an absolute wrecking machine.
It's an interesting concept, isn't it? Because I'm with you, it sounds ridiculous. Like I wouldn't. He's basically I wouldn't get out of bed for 6.8 million. That's not what he's saying. What he's saying is, like, you've paid about 50 people this summer a loads of wedge. I am still your best player, and right now you're paying Ndamukong Suh $8 million more than me. I don't find that acceptable.
Or amusing.
And he shouldn't. And, as you said, like, Fletcher Cox, tremendous player. Like, I've always had a love for Geno Atkins, although been injured a lot recently. Jarrell Casey, Marcel Darius, Malik Jackson all have played well in their time, but none of them compared to Aaron Donald, who's an absolute wrecking ball. So I'm with him. You've got to get paid more money. Next one, Dutton. Khalil Mack. He's earning 13.8 million this year, so he was a higher draft pick than Donald, obviously. So a better base salary. In terms of defensive ends, there are 10. There's only 3 paid more than Khalil Mack. That is Zeke Anza, DeMarcus Lawrence, and Calais Campbell. If you are Khalil Mack, would you hold out?
Yes, because 2 of them are on the franchise tag.
They are, and they're highlighted in blue. That's DeMarcus Lawrence and Ziggy Ansah.
So it's funny money. It's only a 1-year deal. It's not. It shouldn't be based on a comparison. He should be easily looking at what Calais Campbell gets and should be asking for more of it based on the fact that he's younger and his he has to do it himself on that Raiders defense. I think Calais Campbell has got a little bit of help.
I agree in theory. But, like, if we take Ziggy Ansah and DeMarcus Lawrence, which is fair because they are on the franchise tag, he is the second highest paid defensive end in the league. So, okay, we could argue that he should be paid more, but he is paid near $40 million a year.
But it's only 1 year.
Yeah, I know. And yeah, so true. What I am interested in saying here is that if I look down this list, I got to 7 and found JJ Watt. And I know he's been very injured, but why is he 7 and not 1?
Because he signed his contract a long time ago.
Yeah, true. He must be coming up soon to earn that money, so he needs to get fit and fast.
Exactly. So he can hold out next year.
He can hold out. I don't know why, but I can't imagine JJ Watt holding out, but he probably will. Last one, Dutton, is everybody's favourite net kicking wide receiver, and that's Odell Beckham Jr. He earns 8.49 this year, which makes him 10th in the league. People ahead of him: DeAndre Hopkins, T.Y. Hilton, Deshaun Jackson, Larry Fitzgerald, A.J. Green, Julio Jones, also holding out, Randall Cobb, Demaryius Thomas, Brandon Cooks, and then it's Odell. So I guess the question is, and DeAndre Hopkins' base salary for this year is £12.5 million. So I'm interested in finding out. I don't think there's a question that he should hold out because he's not getting enough money. My question is, how much more as an annual base should he earn than DeAndre Hopkins, who earns 12.5?
Over the last 2 years, he shouldn't get a penny more than DeAndre Hopkins. On a per play basis, Odell Beckham's efficiency over the last 2 seasons has been very, very ordinary. His first 2 years, he was exceptional. on terms of volume and in terms of efficiency. 2016, he was getting by purely on volume. He was the second most targeted wide receiver in the NFL, but in terms of on a per play basis, because he was getting that much crap, it was hard to separate the wheat from the chaff. They don't want Odell Beckham, the Giants. You don't draft Saquon Barkley, number 2 overall. You don't sign Jonathan Stewart. You don't try and beef up your offensive line. If you want to pay top-of-the-line money to a wide receiver, he's a headache. They don't want him. They'll get by with him this year, and then he can be someone else's problem next year. He certainly deserves more money than he's getting. It will not be in the blue of the New York Giants.
Is it ironic that one story previously we talked about Terrell Owens and him doing sit-ups in a thing, and how everybody wanted him until he didn't want him anymore, and it sounds like this is the exact line that Odell Beckham Jr. is going down. I understand what you're saying, and I'm comfortable that DeAndre Hopkins, quarterback, is also trash, but like Odell Beckham Jr. should be earning like $17 million a year. Like, he is a game-changing player. Also, by the way, I see Julio Jones at 6. He should earn more. But the same kind of idea. Like, these players should earn more money. Like, maybe not maybe not quarterback money, but not far off. Like, the only reason that Eli Manning gets any yards in any game is because of Odell Beckham Jr. And you can say, oh, Odell Beckham Jr. only got it because of volume. Do you know why he got a volume? Because his quarterback throws it 2 yards to him, because he actually can't throw anymore because he's old. So in defense of in the opposition of he's a headache, and why they signed Jonathan Stewart, who by the way is like 700, so I'm not sure why you're bringing him up, and Saquon Barkley, who does seem to be talented, but is a running back. Like, good luck, New York Giants. Like, this is if you think that making your bed with Eli Manning and Saquon Barkley and getting rid of Odell Beckham is gonna work for you, good luck to you. Because Saquon Barkley could be fantastic, absolutely fantastic, and you will still be garbage because you have Eli Manning as a quarterback. And, after Odell goes, no one to throw to.
Yes. Do you know Eli? After Odell Beckham got injured last year, in the 11 games that followed, Eli Manning threw 11 touchdowns. It was 2017 he did this in, not 1977.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know what but the New York Giants, in their infinite wisdom, because of, I assume, some kind of media witch hunt by the New York Times and New York Post, decided to keep Eli Manning and draft a running back. What could be a fantastic running back. I'm not saying he won't be good, and he could be brilliant next year, and the year after, and the year after that. But then will he be good in year 4?
Ron Howard voice, he won't.
Or year 5. As you said, Ron Howard voice, he won't be. So, bravo for not drafting one of those quarterbacks. And we can say, oh, well, don't know which one they would have picked. Yeah, but I guarantee one of them, I'm going to say it, yeah, I guarantee one of them, after you picked Saquon Barkley, will be good.
Yeah. If you have that much faith in your offensive staff, then, bring him along slowly, let him sit for a year, bleed what little bit Eli Manning has left. But if you're not that confident, fine, run the ball, do what the Dallas Cowboys do to hide the fact their offense is putrid and their defense can't be trusted. Go for it. Happy to see it.
Like, Saquon Barkley will probably get somewhere in the region of 350 yards against the Washington semi-professional football team this year. But what I will say is that will probably mean that we won't be blown out in either game.
Which ultimately is what it's all about.
Exactly. So they may get, oh, look, how amazing was Saquon Barkley? We're averaging 17 points a game. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, New York Giants. Bravo for that.
But he helps the defense.
Okay, if you say so.
The Ezekiel Elliott argument.
Yeah, he might do, but he helps my offense, because all I've got to do is score 21 points. I only need 3 drives now to beat you.
So say, draft a running back to help the defense. Don't draft a cornerback. That'd be silly.
Neil, we could go on for this for ages, but let's not. As we're 40 minutes in on a show, we didn't have anything to talk about.
Exactly. Top waffle.
Absolutely top waffle. Neil, is there anything coming up on the horizon that our listeners can catch you on, either via the medium of video, which we've seen from Road to Underworld, or from the medium of print?
Well, I would suggest that you do go and check out playerprofiler.com, their world famous draft kit. I was a contributor. I contributed about 20 blurbs and about 20 videos of the players. It's one of the biggest projects, if not the biggest project, that Matt Kelly and the boys at Road to Underworld have ever undertaken. So please go and check that out. I will have an article out early next week on Amari Cooper and will he thrive in John Gruden's offense, whatever that is. But other than that, I'm just hoping my eye gets better.
Fantastic. Well, that's it. That's it from us. We hope you enjoyed the show. As we always say, share, rate, review, like, do whatever you can do to get more people to listen. More people to listen is better for us because we enjoy talking to a multitude of people, either via this medium or on Twitter. As for Twitter, I am at Mainz7 with a hot take today on the golf and getting slagged off from my wife for putting her leggings in the wrong clothes drawer. Neil is at ndutton13, and combined we are at waxing_lyrical.
Hashtag champagne problems.
Hashtag champagne problems indeed. This has been Waxing Lyrical, and these top guys are well and truly out.